Welcome to another edition of the Sales and Marketing Power Hour with your host, Carol Morgan with Denim Marketing and Kimberly Mackey with New Home Solutions Consulting.
All right, well, welcome to the Sales and Marketing Power Hour. And we are, of course, talking about selling to the active adult. And who doesn't sell to the active adult? That's kind of been my point all along. Like we all do, whether we're in a 55 plus community or not, because that buyer is everywhere. I found this quote this morning, Carol, and I liked it. It was a Steve Jobs quote, but it says, if you haven't found it yet, keep looking, don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know it when you find it. And that's so indicative of this buyer because they start so early in the process, and it's like but once they find it, boy, they are ready to make a move. And I think that's the mistake that so many people make in creating urgency, because they listen to, oh, we're 2 or 3 years out, we're retiring in a couple of years, and don't really dig further and find out exactly what they're looking for. So our team here should be able to help with that. But before we get there, Carol, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the no one who doesn't know who you are?
I think there might be 2 people. No, I'm kidding. So I'm Carol Morgan with Denim Marketing out of Hotlanta, Georgia, which actually has cooled off a hair this week. And we're supposed to have rain for the next, 15 days. So in my job, and actually there's several other people on this call that try to do this as well. My job is to try to prevent random acts of marketing and make sure that we are marketing with intent. So we write a ton of content. That's what we're known for. Public relations. We have relationships with the media and send out press releases, social media, tons of that, lots of blogging, and then digital marketing. So give me a shout if I can help with anything. I know that people are actually starting to spend dollars on marketing again.
There's a whole argument of they might be a little bit behind the curve, so it'll take a little while to catch up. But hey, better late than never, right? So
absolutely.
And I am Kimberly Mackey. My company is New Home Solutions. And what I do is always so confusing to people, but I'm a management consultant who also happens to train. So most of you see me training or speaking, so you think that's what I do, and I do. But for the most part, I work behind the scenes. I work with companies to make sure that their systems are in order, that we're tracking the right things, and that we can predict what's going to happen in the company and weather any storm, regardless of market conditions. So I like to say that I'm the person who makes sure that sales is the engine that drives the train rather than running it off the tracks. So, because that happens too. And you can certainly reach me or Carol right here. But I know you guys are excited to meet our panelists today. So Todd Warshauer, why don't you kick us off here and tell us about you and 55 Places?
Sure. Thanks for having me. Appreciate everybody joining today. Todd Warshauer, VP of Sales over at 55places.com. It's a online directory of active adult communities, both new and resale, age restricted and not age restricted, more lifestyle communities. So we've got a mix of everything. We feature just under 4,000 communities on the website in all 50 states. So got a lot of great content and a good starting point for a lot of users to find both new and resale communities around the country.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here. And Rob, frequent flyer to the program, but take it away and tell us about you and Epcon.
Well, great. Thank you for having me again. Vice President of Marketing with Epcon Communities, as well as Epcon Franchising. We build homes, develop communities that are popular with 55 plus buyers. That's all we've ever done. Company started in '86, and that's a segment that we've been in since day one. We also work with various builders around the country. We have 84, 85, 86. I'm not sure what it is right at the moment. Franchise builders that also build our product in about 28 states around the country. If you are in one of those states, we're bound to have a community somewhere around you. Corporately, we build in Columbus, Charlotte, Raleigh, Indianapolis, and we're expanding into Atlanta as well as Nashville. So that's where we build corporately.
Those are some hot markets. So, well, thank you for joining us again and sharing your expertise with us. And Ben Keel, also frequent flyer on the program. So I think this is your second or third visit with us.
I think second, somewhere.
All right.
Who's counting?
Right. So tell us a
Uh,
little bit about yourself.
Thank you. I am appreciative of the opportunity. I'm the Director of Sales and Operations for privatecommunities.com. We're also known as PCR, which is an acronym for Private Communities Registry. We started in 1996. We call it BG before Google. And it was a directory to help connect people looking for luxury lifestyle golf communities. And we've expanded over the years. We're a direct partner with a lot of builders, developers, club communities, membership and marketing directors, and then finally real estate agents who are interested in generating leads and web traffic from a lifestyle buyer. We're SEO focused, and we're found because consumers are at the top of that funnel and doing their research, trying to find the perfect lifestyle. So as you said, when they find it, they'll buy it.
Yeah, and the misconception is they're looking for the house.
Correct.
But this buyer's focus is on that lifestyle, isn't it?
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah, they don't want to mow anymore. I don't blame them.
Yeah, well,
Lock and
not
go,
everybody
right?
has to mow as much as you do with your 40 acres. So the next Sales and Marketing Power Hour is on October 19th. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, of course, you can keep the conversation going by joining us on facebook.com/groups Sales Marketing Power Hour. That's where our group is. It's an active chat going on. You can ask questions. You can reach our panelist on there. You can just randomly ask a question or share something that's going on in your world. We'd love to hear from you, and sometimes even just the occasional little funny, so we can all have a little chuckle, because life is too short to be too serious all the time, right? So please
Amen.
make sure, if you haven't already joined us on there, that you take a moment and join us. And Ben, I know that your company did some surveying and shared this wonderful report. So we took a couple of the statistics off of there. You want to kick us off and talk to us about those?
Sure. This is an annual survey that we conduct with people who have registered and are part of our email marketing list that we promote communities and builders, developers, and such. It's typically about, call it 50,000 users that we send this to. I think we penetrate about a 5% participation rate, and so we try to just share what our consumer, what our audience is looking for in not only a home but a lifestyle, and then their expectations in that report. So we can send that out if you like. I'm sure you have a link somewhere for that. I think I sent it to you, but happy to explain any further and direct questions.
We'll put the link in the video, so you'll see it, and I'll also include it in the follow-up to the people who attended and or are going to watch this on the recorded version. Perfect. So, and Rob and Todd, be sure to chime in on these slides as we go too. But you want to kick us off with this one, Ben?
Sure. So one of the biggest questions is, how soon do you plan on buying? Again, since our model is a lead generation company, driving leads and traffic back to our client communities. This is the big one. How quick can we expect these leads to convert? We used to say that it was top of funnel and that these leads were going to take 18 months to mature. And then, wow, COVID hits and all of that goes out the window. And we've heard anecdotally that, first visit, people putting money down on a $750,000 house, and it's bing, bang, boom, and they're in their new house and their new lifestyle. So the big margin here, we've seen these numbers change, and I suspect that we'll see this again. Again, this fluctuates with the market as a whole, also their retirement savings. And then if you move into the single family home, that's always been the dominant in this report. They still want the single family lock and go. They want low maintenance, as Carol just said, no mowing. So Todd and Rob can confirm this, that it's a lifestyle choice. They're looking to have a social community, and they're willing to spend money on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say yours are more broadly focused and not just on that lifestyle community. So how does yours correlate with this?
Our numbers for property type, from the folks that do purchase a home are in line there with the survey that Ben had. Ours is about 68 single family, and then the remaining 32 is attached, which is a mix of condos and attached. And so I still think we see a predominant, percentage, the higher percentage in the single family, just because, while you have a mix of mortgage and cash buyers in the active adult market, when in either one of those categories, HOA fees and the additional expenses that are always going to be there play a factor, and they tend to be a little bit higher, obviously, on the attached home, as well as some additional insurance and things like that that'll be there. So I think there's some cost play where someone might come in and originally looking at an attached home, at least on our site. And then, we send our customers to general real estate agents. They might show them additional, once they find out and probe a little bit and dig deep, that, based on expenses or cost, a single family home might be a better option for them. So there's also more of those communities that exist, especially on the resale side.
Yeah, we build a variety of these different types of product, and it's all really a matter of the zoning of a particular community, whether it's zoned as single family or a condominium. Our communities do come with HOA fees, obviously with the upkeep of the community. But as you were talking about, once they find what they like, they move forward. I think that it hits it right on the head. Corporately, we have a median of about 33 to 35 days. So half of our sales happen within that first month, and then the other half take a little bit longer than that. So it really shows, if you're showing them the lifestyle in a home, many times they're surprised at what they can get, what they can afford, and they really see it in comparison to where they currently live. They are, typically able to make that decision a little bit quicker.
Yeah, that goes back to Kimberly's first slide. If they find it and they love it, they buy it. But
Yeah.
33 days, that's crazy fast.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
Rob, in your market, in your home base of Columbus, I know you guys have a product that I find very interesting, and it's a single family condo.
Depending on zoning, it's a single family detached home, private outdoor space, courtyard unto yourself, and then the HOA maintaining the lawn maintenance. We also have typically an amenity like a clubhouse, a pool, and those types of things as well.
Yeah, your market was one of the first ones I ran across that, but then I do see it in places like up in Minnesota and in Wisconsin. We'll run into something like that as well. They tend to call things different in that part of the country.
It's a rambler.
Yeah, the Ramblers. Yes, we
Rambler.
see a Rambler.
Yeah.
And twin homes rather than so attached villas is what most of us call it in the marketing world, and realtors call them duplexes. So
Mhm.
so
Duplex
this
just
one was
isn't
interesting
sexy.
too.
We should-
Go ahead. Sorry.
We should get rid of the word duplex because it's just not sexy. I like,
It's-
yeah, villas, twins homes. There's all sorts of courtyard homes. Yeah, we hear it all.
And Kimberly, if you go back one, I'll just add one more thing to that time frame. It's kind of a interesting thing, but coming from new home sales, and my background is Del Webb and Pulte back in the day, is a lot of the first questions that you try to avoid, or you learned with the showing the price sheet right away 20 years ago, was that when are you looking to move, and you get all the just looking. And so on our website, we used to ask for time frame, and then we send that information over to an agent. We removed that. Because most folks are going to say a year or two. So once you automatically know the objections, you can just file those away and yep, got that, typical, yep, you're going to give me that. But, as you said, Rob just mentioned, once they find what they're looking for, they'll act, they'll go. And so, half of the sales that we get, half the buyers that come in, we're not at 33 days. But if homeowners or customers purchase from one of our real estate agents in one of our communities on our site, 50% of all of our sales happen in the first 90 days. The rest trickle down between, month 4 to month 48.
Wow.
It's a trail, of course, because there's, and then there's subsequent sales and things that happen with our agents. But, asking and finding out a time frame, a lot of these, the preconceived notion is that, that someone has, in this demographic, that they're just kicking tires. They're looking for years out. Well, they are, because they don't know what to see. They don't know what state they want to be in. Especially if they're not local, like, Rob has mentioned, it's a little bit different for our communities that we show in the Midwest, for example. A lot of people stay in the Midwest first, head head south. But if they're in Florida, do you want North Florida, Central Florida, South Florida, West Coast, East Coast? It's different. Do you want to be above the frost line, below the frost line? I mean, there's a lot of different ways to start and narrow that down. But once you get past that, you find out what's going to change in 2 years. That's not now. What's the true objection there? They'll move right away. If you get past that and you just find out what's their pain, and show them that lifestyle, they'll go from 2 years down to 2 months really fast. And even if they don't, just knowing that's possible changes the mindset with that active adult buyer.
One of the things that I've always said about this active adult buyer is they don't have to move, so there isn't the pain of staying where they are. They're quite comfortable where they are. But when you can show them how much better things can be, and how much faster they can get to their goal of doing whatever that thing is that is this move is going to allow them to do, they'll make a decision on a dime.
Yeah.
So, and again, the house is like third, fourth, fifth in the decision making process. So it's not about showing your sexy floor plans and all of that. It comes into play, but lifestyle is far more important.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think everybody's kind of mentioned that. Let's talk about the preference of new construction versus resale. I love 50% have no preference. They have no loyalty one way or the other. They're just like, find me the right spot. Ben, is that what this says?
Yeah, and interesting enough, this was conducted, I believe, in March, April of this year.
Oh.
And so again, this is a sliding scale as far as the timeline, and things are obviously changing. But I know from experience helping my stepson looking for a property. I mean, 9 months ago, $300,000 house in Palm Beach County looks totally different than it does now, especially on the resale side. So when you see the value of brand new appliances, brand new roof, brand new AC, no home warranties needed, I think that number's probably going to change a little bit if the market price points stay where they are, especially if they increase, because I think next year's survey may look a little bit. That's my guess.
We saw just in the regular, without breaking it down by demographic, by age demographic, we saw that we went from about 20% who would consider new construction to around 60 to 70% at several points during the pandemic. So because inventory was so low in that resale market, we saw that openness to new construction expand exponentially. So hopefully we didn't burn that, and we'll keep those people as new home buyers. So that's my hope.
I think the other thing that we saw during the pandemic is that resale prices were so all over the place that new home was a little bit more predictable, and that gap was, closer than it usually is. So people considered them for that reason too. Because again, why buy the home that's been, used, the used home, when you can buy the new shiny new object,
Yeah, and especially, and maybe without a bidding war and all of those things too, although we did have our VIP list.
Yeah. Well, and I keep hearing the 300,000 price point. I can tell you there is almost nothing anywhere in the Atlanta market for 300,000. I mean, is that true for all of you guys? I mean, I'm assuming. Can you buy?
I agree. Yeah, we're 450 plus, probably to about 7 in the majority of our communities around the country. Now they do go above that. As there's certain product that we have above that, but that's our range.
No, I would tend to agree, especially again, just trying to help a young guy for the first time home buyer. But if you would put that against that relocation buyer whose house has increased 30-40% in their market, and they can transfer that benefit into a brand new home. Again, I think that really helps move the needle on the new home construction buyer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which the bottom of that slide talks about the price point as well. So, I mean, again, I think expectations are continually changing over the last 2 years. If they do normalize a little bit, we'll see if that shifts.
And there is a conversation about that too, because land prices and the cost of construction leads to price increases. And if you can communicate that properly, people can start to understand it.
Agreed.
And you can also put it in a historical perspective, because other than the crash, we have not really seen prices go down, because the cost of goods continues to go up. So you don't see homes doing major corrections. You do see resale that got a little out over their skis, to mix my analogies there. But pulling back, but builders really can't do that. So there's not going to be no one, I don't think, is predicting, huge swings in that. So waiting 6 months shouldn't improve your pricing. In fact, it probably will make it worse.
Correct.
So, and this buyer is more savvy. I think they're more well-read, more researched than most. Would you agree?
Well, they're an experienced buyer. I mean, they've probably owned more than one home, and they've been through multiple mortgages, and they may even have investment properties or second homes. The slide is showing now with the cash buyer, anecdotally, again, since we're not on the front lines, but I speak to a lot of client communities, and the number of people walking in, buying cash, even in this market, just gives you a sense of their confidence of their spend. And I did another webinar a while back, participated in. It's the YOLO and FOMO effect that has happened to this buyer. You only live once. I'm going to retire early, and my account, my 401k and my retirement fund is through the roof. Cash out and retire early and get the house we really want. So it's an interesting market that we're in.
Yeah, and I would also add in that, this buyer will have the most amount of cash as the demographics to use, on a purchase. And, while some of, they can go in the game and on the sidelines easily, maybe much more than any demographic. Right now, what didn't exist 30, 60, 90 days ago is they have more choice. And they have the cash to make the move, whereas unfortunately a lot of buyers, low and active adult, or even in the traditional communities, they're kind of priced out right now, albeit temporarily, from interest rates going up and down. And as Rob knows probably best on this call, then you also have opportunities like the home equity conversion mortgage, the HECM mortgage, that can allow people to get into an upper price point if they have cash. So whether they have the full 100% cash to purchase the $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 house, or they have $400,000 and they want to buy a $500,000 house, this buyer has more choice and more options. So another reason not to discount them at all, including their time frame. So.
Well, and home to sell, even if they have home to sell, bridge loans are making a major comeback right now. So with homes appreciating like they are, lenders are more willing to do that bridge loan. So even if they do need to sell the home, that idea can go away.
These are the conversations we have a lot with our franchise builders and potential franchise builders who are already building maybe first-time buyer, move-up buyer, custom homes, looking to enter the 55 plus space. And we really talk to them about these issues, that it's a much more stable segment of the home building industry. The buyers aren't as impacted by fluctuations in the stock market because they may be in much more conservative holdings by this point in their lives. They do have equity in their existing home. It's just a really great market to be in, especially in times of maybe some fear, uncertainty, and doubt, or some market corrections that are taking place.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have to have patience when working with this buyer. They don't want to be pressured. They don't want to be pushed. But you can take their hand and walk beside them and get real results really quickly. So they just want to be respected through the process.
Yeah.
So, and I like this. Do you plan to own more than one home? So, and 25%, so a full quarter of them say yes.
Yes. Yeah. And then 6% I already do. So that gets quickly to 31%. And that solves the problem, because to me, it seems like that one of the biggest challenges for this buyer is typically downsizing or weeding through what they have and moving and the stuff. And what are we going to do with all the stuff? And if you decide you're just going to keep two homes, and that solves a lot of the problem, right? It's avoidance.
Until they get a little further down the road and they're moving into that final lifestyle community where they're, they go into the apartment and then assisted living and all of that. Then they have to figure out what to do with it. And that's where they call us and they're like, hey,
Yeah, you don't have to clean the basement if you don't sell that house. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. And I don't know. I still think if you all see all these storage facilities going up all over the place, I think it's because they all want their children to take all their stuff. Well, their children don't want their stuff, or maybe they want it later. And so they're just storing it all. I mean, that's going to be interesting to watch. There's a lot of stuff in storage units. That's all I can say.
I have a friend who's very big into antiquing. It's her favorite thing to go do on the weekend. Needless to say, I don't go with her. But her kids have started going, look, Mom, what are we supposed to do with
this
all
stuff?
this stuff?
Yeah.
I'm like, and she's my age. I'm like, wow, we're already having that conversation. How did I get so old? I don't know how that happened.
You know, one thing that I'll add, if I can, just on what was said before, you mentioned this buyer doesn't like to be pushed. They're going to make their time, things like that. And while I agree with that, I'll add one note in there, and it's kind of on time frame. And there's a theme from time frame because, you know, coming from the new home sales side and coming into the general real estate side, you know, a lot of real estate agents are the here and now. They want the 30 to 60, you know, commission, right? So to speak, they want to get paid as fast as possible. I mean, who doesn't? But, you know, the nurturing that takes it a lot of times with, you know, an active adult buyer, you know, whether it's a few months or a few years, you know, at the end of the day, you know, focusing on time frame or thinking tire kickers is, you know, one of the coaching things that we talk about with our agents, and I talk about it when I travel and see agents or when they come to our conference, is that one of the questions that, or one of the responses that they get from closed homeowners that purchase in an active adult community is, I wish I would have done this sooner. Everybody hears that. And as whether you're in new home sales, in marketing, in general real estate, if you know that, you know, selling the lifestyle and finding out, you know, giving them some choice and benefits to make a decision now, you know, if you come at it from that way, you're not pushing them, you're helping them make the most informed decision that can help benefit their life today, you know. And, you know, thinking about it in a year or two, or tire kickers, which, hey, I was in selling Del Webb, sitting there, you know, the doors, you'd think that, you know, people want to purchase today, or you want to focus on the people that purchase today. But, you know, more often than not, if you can help that active adult buyer, they're going to remember that, and they're going to refer a lot more people your way through your communities. And they'll remember how they were treated in that sense. So I know that was kind of a little soapbox, but just wanted to focus that on time frame.
No, it's a good soapbox. We offer on our site part of a community showcase to promote the community, an opportunity to add a discovery tour.
Yep.
And our most successful, most loyal clients put discovery tours opportunities to invite, you know, build it and they will come. Well, invite them and they'll more likely show up, but invite them in a way that there is a cost attached to it. So you're qualifying and minimizing tire kickers looking for a nice weekend getaway. But at the end of the day, when they're showing that consumer the lifestyle with like-minded people, with a social opportunity and an opportunity to quickly make friends and neighbors, again, the stories I hear from our clients, they tell us that is a no-brainer. So even if you're not using a service like ours or others out there, offer a discovery tour and be surprised what you see.
You know, it's an interesting concept. I have a question for you guys. Do you feel like the time from when they first looked to close has sped up because of COVID? I mean, I kind of feel like I'm seeing some nods, you know, that whole delayed gratification, you know, part of the reason they're moving is they've now seen, you know, I want this better lifestyle. You know, if I'm going to be stuck in my house, I want to be stuck in a house where I can do all these things. So any idea of how much that sped it up to get people kind of off the fence and thinking they wanted to live life the way they want to now?
I mean, in terms of speed up, I mean, other than knowing that it did speed it up for the very reason that you just said, Carol, is that, wow, I really don't want to stay in this house that I've been in for 20, 30 years and only seen those walls or the exterior walls from just walking around your yard for several months. You know, that was a motivation for someone. And like, you know, and motivation is another great word with this buyer, especially online. I know we'll get to maybe some OSCs or online sales comps or whatever that is, but you know, again, I also tell our agents when they say, well, my leads last week weren't that good. I'm like, an active adult buyer came on and filled out a contact form and gave them basically your phone number, which is equivalent to a social security number for an active adult buyer.
Yes.
And, you know, as well as their email, and gave you some notes. There's a silver platter that I don't know how to shine that any better right now. And I always joke around with them when I say that, but at the end of the day, there's a motivation why they did that. You know, find it, be curious. And there was a lot more of those, Carol. You know, it just spiked to COVID. People are like, I need more information. I need help.
I need to use that quote somewhere.
Yeah, where can I go? Whether it's 5
And if
miles
they're
down
giving
the
you
road,
a phone number, use that phone number. Do not try to text them or email them back. If they're giving you a phone number, call them. They want you to they want to talk to a real person.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, and it's not that this buyer is less tech savvy, because in many cases that's not true. It's a misnomer, but they still like to actually have a conversation, talk things through.
Yeah, talk about tech savvy. It's the thing that we try to focus on right now is we're trying to be out ahead. Xers are turning 55. If you're thinking they're not tech savvy, then you're insulting me. So
Well, I'm still 36. I don't know about you, Rob.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So
I'm gonna stick with 39. No, as an ex, yeah. I mean, now when we talk about 55 plus, I'm kind of insulted. I'm like, wait a minute.
yeah.
Well, and it's so funny because people still call them boomers. And I'm like, y'all, it's not just the boomers that are empty nesters and are over 50 anymore. We'll just lower it to 50 and then I feel a little better, right?
Sure.
So, yeah.
Well, that's the thing about, you know, with tech savviness is, you know, one of our busiest weeks of the year is the week after Christmas. A lot of builders, a lot of communities sometimes shut down. I mean, not home builders, because you're closing a lot of deals before the end of the year, obviously. But, you know, the reason being is because those active adult buyers just got new iPads and phones from their grandkids or kids. And now they're learning how to use that, and they're going online more than they ever did. And so, you know, that's why the last week, it's just hilarious to see our traffic just start doing this right after Christmas. And it's, we call that, we used to just say the holiday bump, but it's literally the holiday tech bump.
Literally the day after Christmas, they're done with their families. They're actually tired of their families. They don't want to admit it. And they're looking for something new for themselves. And you're right. The traffic is just a peak and through the roof.
And COVID especially advanced things so much farther. There was hesitation to adopt new technologies in the sales and ownership area. But when COVID hit and they had no choice, we were able to repackage everything, distribute it out to our builders, and they could continue to sell. The buyers were begging for it. They were waiting for advanced technologies and virtual tours and that type of thing. And it was COVID forced a lot of builders to start to utilize it.
Agreed.
So one of the things that we've seen with just our regular web traffic is we saw, like in June, everything came to a grinding halt. And then we saw it in July, it's back. It's coming right back. It looks like for everybody. I think as buyers accepted the new reality of what's going on. How has the traffic been for this buyer, for the active adult? Are you still seeing the same levels? Are you seeing an increased level as we're getting further and further away from that June, stop? Or did you even experience it in June?
Yeah, we had a bit of a steady decline, January being the high point, and then steady decline down to June. And then things are bouncing back here in July and August. I think corporately, we were down about 25%. Now that's also mixed in with, we've sold out of a lot of our communities and we don't have as many things to sell. So there was some natural lowering there. So I don't believe it's a full 25%. I think it's a little bit lower than that. If I look year over year, 2022, 21 versus 2022 across our whole system, we were only down year over year about 15% on the whole. So we're holding pretty steady. What's also nice is our conversion ratios are still at the same point. So even though there's a few less people in the market, we're still converting at the same level. So I'm very pleased by that.
Yeah, I'm seeing that too. So we're seeing less traffic, but the traffic that's there is highly motivated and qualified.
Yeah.
And ready. So sales are not. Now we're working harder for the sales that we're getting, but all the builders that I'm working with, we made our numbers. So But again, some of them at the very last minute, it was a nail biter. I won't tell you, you know, it certainly wasn't like March and April, but
I tagged
we still
I'm
made
sorry.
it.
I
Go
tagged
ahead,
Kevin Oakley. I tagged Kevin Oakley in a tweet yesterday, just on the same topic. We're down 12% year over year through this time frame versus 2021. But if you take that same comparison and look pre-COVID in 2019, our traffic is up 35% over that same time frame. So even though we hit a peak in 2021 and things are starting to perceive to be slowing down, it is normalizing. But yes, we are still way above pre-COVID market level.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing
Yeah.
too.
And I don't have the exact percentages like Rob did, but I know we saw an uptick actually in Q1, just mainly the seasonality, because so much of our business or where our lead generation or customers come in for us for Florida, the Southeast and Southwest. And so that's like the season in Florida, obviously. So we always see a little bit of an increase there where some other builders, if they're more like Midwest or Northeast based, might see a little bit of a dip. But then we had, for our website, considering everything is online, in the last 2 or 3 months, we have seen a dip, but I call that the headline effect. It's the active adult buyer is looking left, right, up, down, depending on what they see. And so, and whether it's a good headline or bad headline, that helps drive a little bit of our traffic. So with so much craziness going on in the last 30, 60, 90 days, it took some of our traffic away, but it's back up where it needs to be.
Well, you're absolutely right. These headlines are crazy and they're all over the place. Oh, home building 70% down or whatever the crazy numbers are. Well, the reality is, okay, so what if there's 50% more homes on the market or 70% more homes on the market? We still don't have 2 months of inventory anywhere, I don't think. We certainly don't anywhere in the South. So it's kind of crazy, but let's talk marketing for a minute. So what? Woo-hoo! I know. I'll start with Rob.
I'm outnumbered here today.
I know you're very outnumbered. This is rare on this webinar, but we'll start with Rob and then kind of go round robin. But what do active adult buyers want to see on the website when they're shopping and doing their research? And how does that change as they go through the buying funnel?
Yeah, I think it's just the same as everybody else. Paint that picture for me. What can life be like? What is it compared to where I am today? And how can it be different? And it's the same as everybody else. Lots of photography, lots of video, give me some virtual tours, educate me as much as possible on not only what that home is going to be like, but what that lifestyle and that community is going to be like. So we really talk more that, you're buying a lifestyle and you get a home for free. Is one of the things we talk about.
That's kind of interesting.
Because if you're moving into a community for the right reasons, you may not be spending that much time in your home. You're going to be in the clubhouse, at the pool, hanging out with your neighbors, going and playing pickleball or bocce or something along those lines. That's what you're buying into, walking in the walking trails. So it's really painting that picture and letting them know what's possible, because many of them maybe haven't moved in a while. And have lost their neighbors and everybody's moved away and they forget what's possible. When they first moved into a neighborhood, maybe they knew everybody, all their kids hung out, they had backyard parties. That's faded, but hey, I can have that again. And it's really painting that picture and doing it web and virtually, and then moving to an appointment and keeping that conversation going.
If I could tag on to that, even if it's not in a particular lifestyle community, but they're making a move for the lifestyle, like to the mountains or to the beach, making sure that you're incorporating that. I see builders focusing totally on their product and forgetting to focus on that lifestyle of the surrounding area too.
Yes.
And being from Florida, a lifestyle is obviously very important. And one of the big reasons that people move here is the sunshine and the weather and and being able to showcase that. And I just don't see that enough in any of the websites for our builders. We forget that we don't build on just an island,
Well, and sometimes the biggest amenity is that state park or local park that's next door that you can walk to. And, I think we're seeing that kind of start to change, but you're right. It's not front and center on the websites. So.
Well,
what about hospitals and so quality of life care and how important is that to see on the websites?
We make it a focal point, and we're a little bit different with our communities. A lot of our buyers come from the local area, minus our Carolina communities and such. So they already have their doctors, they have their restaurants, they have their friends. They just want a new house, something that fits their life stage and their lifestyle going forward. So if you can just say, hey, you can have everything you already have nearby that you know and love, and do it in a new home, that single story, no steps, no more. That's where the conversation really takes off.
Yeah, and I would say that from a website perspective, Ben's website does that great. It's really kind of showing the lifestyle with all the options that you can choose and choose your path. I mean, he mentioned discovery packages, but the website is a discovery where you can really navigate and find what you're looking for. And I think, when you're online and looking, obviously we're all selling a lifestyle. I mean, whether you're active adult or not, you're selling a lifestyle. And the best salespeople are the best storytellers. They find out the story, they're curious enough to find out the current story, and then they can help tell the new story. And that is, at the end of the day, what a website should try to start doing. And like Rob said, it's all about the photos. I mean, great content is great words, but the navigation, the ease of the navigation, the videos, the floor plans, if you have them on there, the interactive floor plans, the photos, the suggestive search, that if you're looking here, you might also like this. I mean, because one thing about an active adult buyer, like I mentioned with the headlines, is they'll look everywhere. You want to give them some guidance of where they can go, and that's true for any website, of course. But I think when it comes to your online storefront, it is truly the engagement factor. And we see that too. I mean, we have, like I said, under 4,000 communities on our site. Not all of them have 20 or 30 photos. Some have one or two. They are not the ones that are driving the most traffic to our site, or driving the most engagement on our site, for sure.
Carol did not pay me to ask this question, but I'll ask, how important is the blog?
Blogs are really important. My IT just got here and I got to let him in. So hang on. So technology is really important. So I'll be back.
But how important is that blog for this buyer? Because this is the buyer that will read that blog and learn about the area and what's possible and where everything is, right?
We use a blog as a part of a newsletter piece that we send, and then we obviously post it on our site. It's good content and good SEO for us. But when the client asks what more can we do, we always say promote your Easter egg hunt, promote your Mother's Day brunch, promote your local arts festival. Don't always send this floor plan for sale, this floor plan for sale, this floor plan for sale. This buyer is looking, if you're going to trickle and drip market to this buyer, blogging and content about the surrounding area that you guys have already mentioned, push that content to them and you'll re-engage that buyer, because you're going to hit a nerve. It can't just always be the house. That's just my opinion and feedback from other clients.
I completely
agree. And we
agree.
talked about that with our OSCs too, with not having the OSCs just send out that spam content that, that's clearly canned. This buyer needs more personalization and what they have particularly asked for, rather than just a drip campaign. Do you guys agree with that when we have our online sales counselor, or even just our agents answering those questions?
Well, you brought up the word storytelling, and we use our blogs very much to be that storytelling medium. So when we do various articles about single level living, it's really the advantages of single level living. By the way, it's leading you to our houses, of course, but it's really telling the story of why. Why is that important? Why is no stairs not important? Our drip campaigns lead to those blog articles. Our social leads to those blog articles. Our brochures are tied in with those concepts. And it's really just tying it all together to tell that story in an effective way.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, I think one of the things that, over the years, and especially in new home sales, and in real estate, everybody's focused on a what, and then you hear, don't focus on the what, focus on the why. We've all heard that at every sales conference we've gone to. But some of the best advice, or the thing that stuck with me the most, is I was working for a private builder in Charlotte many years ago, and who's based out of Indianapolis, and he came and was investing in some land. And one of the questions, as he was doing a drive around, we were looking at land, he's like, Todd, I like this piece of land, but tell me how I live here. It was the how question that just, it wasn't what, it wasn't why. It's like, how do I live here? And that was the most, and it was an active adult piece. It wasn't. It was just going to be a single family, at the time in Charlotte, $200,000 single family homes, like 2,500 square feet. But it was all about how. And so the rest of the drive along, it was like I was, in my old active adult days, of showing around the hospital. Where's Walgreens? Where's the school? Where's the park? Where's the library? Where's the nearest gas station? It's just like things that people want to think about that don't ask is the how piece. And so that was one of the, whenever I think about, like, when I go to and visit some of our agents, or I drive through communities and ask HOA questions, like, how do I live here? And the agents that can really tell the story, it's like, wow, that was awesome. So which one should I choose is the next question that comes out. So anyway.
Yeah, when you focus on family, occupation, recreation, and dreams, our Ford that we talk about in sales all the time. So recreation and dreams are so important. And, a lot of times our agents are only asking about family and occupation because they're trying to qualify them financially. And this is a buyer that they're not talking to you unless they're qualified financially. They know whether they're qualified or not. So, we can kind of take them at face value on that until we get much further into the funnel and we earn the right to ask that question. But that recreation and dreams, how is this move going to allow you to focus on those things that you love to do? And dream about that lifestyle, will create, again, that sense of urgency, but it also creates that human connection, I think.
Well, and when they fill out a form with, as he said, the social security number is their phone number, that's great. I'm going to borrow that.
Sure.
At the end of the day, they also will tell you their life story. They will tell you, we have 2 dogs, 2 kids live nearby, and they will give you a line item on a lot of these forms that they fill out on sites like ours. And I'm sure Todd sees it too, on his site. And those are hot buttons that OSC can take and to their advantage and work and build some rapport. But the number of communities that we work with that we see an auto reply that says, here are homes for sale, here's our current inventory, tell me which one you want to buy. As a salesperson, I just see such a missed opportunity. So I think that's something that, if you're taking something away from this from a sales perspective, pay attention to how you're replying to this buyer, because if they do want that attention, they do want that conversation, they do want that rapport. That's just.
And the link back to the website's not it, because they came from the website.
Correct.
Well, and Rob gets that email, he's gonna be like, what are you doing?
So, and that, I think that's important that the OSC relay that too, in that handoff. If they're doing that, they've got to relay all those conversations so that buyer feels valued and doesn't have to start over in the process. So
in some ways it's a therapy session, because first time buyers and move up buyers, I always say, are very excited. They're excited to what they're going to move to. And oftentimes in this demographic, it's not as exciting to let go of what you've lived in for 30 years. So there's a moment where they have to let their past or their present go until they can start to see what's in the future. And that's really a therapy session. Allow them to talk, allow them to get it out, to understand their needs, and then show them what's exciting and what could be coming. But if you lead immediately, like, oh, we got something, you're so excited for it, and you don't let them process that first, there's going to be hesitation.
And if there's 2 in the buying party, a husband and wife or life partners or whatever they are, one may be further along in this process than the other. They got to even that up before they're going to move forward.
Especially if there's an analytical buyer within it. There's the dreamer and then the analytical, and dealing with those dynamics.
Yeah. Or I'm attached to my stuff, and the emotional buyer of, what am I going to do when the kids come? And where are we going to have Thanksgiving dinner? You got to be able to, you know, how do we show them that, you know, keeping that China hutch is not getting them closer to their dreams, but we can still look at this outdoor living space where you could expand the tables and have everybody out here on the patio and, you know, enjoying the outdoor. You've got to show them that there's a different way of doing things because they've
Right.
always done it that same way.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And you know, again, there's, you know, you get training and it evolves on it, but you always talked about what's their pain in their current situation, right? And sometimes starting off, you know, discovery or rapport with an active adult buyers, you know, that's a hard spot to start and to talk about the pain, right? Without more of a
Right.
relationship. So you got to flip it on the other side. Tell me what you love about your current home, because it seems odd. They're like, oh, if you ask that question, they're going to want to stay there. Maybe, but it
One of my
opens up
favorite
to like,
questions.
but it opens up. All right, well, now you can talk about like the China hutch and the outdoor living areas. Like, hey, I've got a perfect situation. Now, a couple things. What would you want to change about your existing home? Great. Now I found the pain, but I also know what you love, that you want to keep. That's most important to you, because that's the emotion that's going to link the next move. So,
And this is
So
an emotional
important.
buy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely emotional. And you know, and families involved too. We've talked a little bit about that, you know, moving closer to family. How much does family play into the emotion of this, into the purchase?
It's key. Yeah, go ahead, Todd. Yeah.
I was going to say, for us, it depends on who's filling out the contact form. Is
Okay.
it the active, you know, is it the actual person who's moving, or is it the kids that are helping
Right.
mom or dad move? So a little bit of joke there, all jokes aside, but yeah, I mean, I think it just depends on, you know, are they the ones, like, what do you love about your home? If one of their first things is, I love hosting my family for the holidays, that is you know, a lot of check boxes just check there. They probably want to be close to family still. So depending on where they want to buy, they probably need, you know, and that starts telling you about the home, the lifestyle, outdoor space, things like that. You know, if grandkids are coming around, is there recreation around outside the community? I mean, it just depends on, you know, finding out what they really like about their home first. I think that opens so many more doors than like, what don't you like about your current home? So,
And you have to ask them, so what does that look like for you when they start expanding it and they tell you something? Don't just take that first answer, like dig a little deeper. So what does that look like for you? And then zip, as I always say, to let them go through that.
yeah, so I think it's huge.
I think another key question to ask is, who else is going to be involved in your decision to move forward?
Mhm.
We tend to ask that. We ask that a lot of millennials, and you know, because we think their parents are going to be involved, but it's the other way around with the active adult buyer, because the kids are going to be involved in this decision. They're going to involve their families with this.
Sure.
So
And sometimes you
Rob,
have to
how
tell that
often do you
family.
see kids with it? Do you see kids coming on the tours, and how involved are they?
Yeah, and it depends. If you take our Carolina communities, there's often kids and grandkids that already live in that market, and their parents are going to be moving there. So they're highly active in the process, because they're going out, looking at the homes, looking at the communities first, and then relaying that to their parents that may be moving down into that market. So much more involved in that area. But we often have multiple generations that move into our homes. So there's single level homes, but they also come with an optional bonus suite. So the adult child may live on the second floor in the bonus suite area, and then the parent lives on the first floor, and they may transition as maybe that adult moves out, the parent moves out into assisted living at a later point, but they joint buy the home. So we see that a lot as well.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
Ben, on your website, is there a way for them to identify themselves when they're looking for that multi-generational? Or is that something your agents have to discover?
Well, since we don't have agents, again, we're passing the lead on to the sales reps at the community or into their CRM with a lead feed, or the real estate agents. But at the end of the day, that content does exist on our site, and we do see it. You know, mother-in-law suites and things like that. And they're, you know, sometimes the kids, we obviously have found an increase in a certain segment that I think are doing the research for their parents. But at the end of the day, the kids are still looking for what's important to mom and dad. Are they still active? Do they play pickleball? And then the consumer themselves, again, are there hospitals nearby? So the best marketers we work with build that content into the description of the community. And a lot of the builders that have multiple 55 plus communities on our site, like the Crestwinds with Coulter and the K-Hobbs Four Seasons and the Shea Trilogy, they're telling, again, storytelling. They're telling that story of what's available, whether it's active adult, age restricted, or just neo traditional for that matter.
I guess I have a question also. I know family is important with their decision to move, but how often do you see groups of friends moving to be together? How much do friends play into the decision?
It plays into ours quite a bit. We get a lot of referral sales, and kind of our discovery tour, Ben, similar to what you do. We do monthly events in our communities, and it's really, if they don't already have a friend there, they form friendships pretty quickly. And we've had people buy just because they met somebody at that monthly event, said, I want to live by you. And now they're anxious, and I want to have a new friend and move into that community after that. So friendships are very important in our communities.
Yeah, I mean, it's and the same thing with the online buyer. They'll still come on our site to kind of do a lot of their research, fill out forms, but you'll see a lot of times in the comments or like, so-and-so, my friend lives here, things like that. Because I mean, that's the advantage of a 55 plus communities. They want to feel and people around themselves, their likes, their age, things like that. And then if you can add friends also in the community to that, it's a bonus for sure.
Yeah, so we should certainly provide those opportunities for them to do that wherever possible. So we're getting close to the top of the hour, but I want to do a round robin, and Rob, we'll start with you. Just some thoughts about this buyer and working with them that you'd like to share.
I think it's exciting on a regular basis. I mean, these people are at a point in their lives where they're looking to maybe have a new freshman year in college. As you look at it, I mean, they've done their one life, raised their kids, maybe not, but they're ready for that next thing, getting around people like a similar life stage, similar lifestyle, and ready to go. And I always say it's not about wheelchairs and walkers. It's about tacos and tequila in a lot of our communities. So they're looking to have some fun, and that's what keeps it interesting.
So Ben, how about you? What are your final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Quick story. My wife and I were trying to exchange Tervis tumblers in the village, and there was a store in the Villages. If you've ever heard of the Villages, it's been for a long, long time one of the top producing communities. We stopped to have a beer at a local bar within this community, and there were golf carts lined for forever, and they were all customized. And there was a noise coming from this bar that I thought was probably like a frat house. And my wife is like, what is going on? It was literally the local group of Buffalo Bills fans watching against, I believe it was the Jets. And it was literally like two gangs inside of this bar watching this football game. And they were partying and hooting and hollering. And when the game was over, they rolled to their golf carts and pointed to each other. I'll see you at 7. I'll see you at 9. I'll see you at 8. And it was an unbelievable experience for me in this business to realize that's our audience. That's the people that are when I say lifestyle, they're not just looking to fade off into the sunset. They're grabbing the bull by the horns. And if you engage them properly and you build content around the lifestyle, not just the floor plan, you'll be much more successful.
We made it till almost the top of the hour without the Villages coming up in an active adult conversation.
They're not even my client. So.
I'm shocked at that. Todd, you want to finish us off here?
Sure. There, as I've talked to a lot of our agents and my team, is there's buyers and sellers in every market, no matter what the headlines say. And it's easy to be a headline quoter. Don't be it. Every market doesn't change the need for a true sales or marketing professional. And that's what our industry has always called for. And the ones that rise to it will be the ones that help the most customers make one of the most important decisions they'll ever make. And don't treat that lightly, regardless of the market that we're in.
Or their time frame that they tell you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, well, thank you all for joining us. I always find this just a fascinating conversation, and I think this is such a big segment of our market that we don't always focus on.
Mhm.
So I appreciate you guys coming on, sharing your expertise.
No, thanks for the invite and for all who joined.
Same here.
So,
Appreciate it.
all right.
Thanks
Thank you.
all.
And